bienvenue. Hi friends, welcome back to another great lesson of the Language Tutor French series. Guys, today we have a great lesson for you. And the reason I say that is because we're going to learn ER verbs. Now, why are those so great? Well, ER verbs are the most commonly used verbs in the French language. And so by learning how to do ER verbs, you can learn as many ER verbs as you want and apply this same knowledge to the ones that you learn after this lesson. Now, in order to do ER verbs, I first want to just give you a list of ER verbs and what they mean. Now, this is not a terribly long list. It really just gets you started with a handful of them. And again, these are all over the internet. You can research ER verbs on the internet and find tons of them. All right, but this is going to be more about how to use them, okay? So let's get ready with our cahier, our notebook, a stylo, a pen, or a crayon, a pencil, and let's get our list of ER verbs, okay? First one is aimer, aimer, which means to like or love. Aimer. Aimer, which means to like or love. The next one is espérer, espérer, which means to hope or wait for. Parler, which means to speak. Chercher, which means to speak. Chercher, which means to look for. Compter, which means to count. Espérer, which means to hope or wait for. Parler, which means to speak. Chercher, which means to look for. Compter, which means to count. Donner, which means to give. Donner, which means to give. Écouter, which means to listen. Continuer, which means to give. Écouter, which means to listen. Continuer, which means to continue. You. Nager, which means to swim. And manger, which means to eat. All right, that gives you a great list to start with. Now let's talk about how we use these in context. Now, we can't say that last one we learned, manger. We can't say je mangeais because when we put the ER on these verbs, they literally mean to do that. So that last one we wrote, manger, literally means to eat. If I were going to say, I'm going to eat, I would literally say that. Je mean When we put the ER on these verbs, they literally mean to do that. So that last one we wrote, manger, literally means to eat. If I were going to say, I'm going to eat, I would literally say that, je vais manger. Manger, exactly like that, because it means to eat. All right. Now, if we're going to say, I eat, like I said, we can't say je mange because that would mean I to eat, and it wouldn't make sense. So what we're going to do is change these a little bit. We're going to manipulate them a little so that they'll make sense with each one of these pronouns. Makes sense, right? We do this in English all the time. We say, we take the verb to eat and we take off the to and we put an S on it for she and it says she eats, right? So we do this all the time. We're going to do the same thing. All right, so here's what we need to do. First of all, I'll put the chart up. This chart is a good visual organizer, as I've said many times. And we want to put the endings on this chart. Now, you might be saying, what are you talking about endings? Well, I'll explain that in a minute, don't worry. What we need to do is put the endings on it first. Now, up here in the top left, we're going to put the end. Makes sense, right? We do this in English all the time. We say, we take the verb to eat and we take off the to and we put an S on it for she and it says she eats, right? So we do this all the time. We're going to say, I eat. Like I said, we can't say je mange because that would mean I to eat, and it wouldn't make sense. So what we're going to do is change these a little bit. We're going to manipulate them a little so that they'll make sense with each one of these pronouns. Makes sense, right? We do this in English all the time. We say, we take the verb to eat and we take off the to and we put an S on it for she and it says she eats, right? So we do this all the time. We're going to do the same thing. All right, so here's what we need to do. First of all, I'll put the chart up. This chart is a good visual organizer, as I've said many times, and we want to put the endings on this chart. Now, you might be saying, what are you talking about endings? Well, I'll explain that in a minute, don't worry. What we need to do is put the endings on it first. Now, up here in the top left, we're going to put the ending E, okay? Just the ending E. And let's go ahead and put that on the bottom left also, because the top left and the bottom left use the same ending. Now in the middle here on the left, we're going to put ES, ES. And on the top right, we're going to put ONS. And in the middle right, we're going to put EZ. And then at the bottom right, we're going to put ENT. Now these are our endings. So this is what this means. Let's take je first. first of all. The I form. And let's use the verb parler, to speak, parler. Now, what we have to do is take off the ER of any of these verbs. All right, so we have parler, manger, écouter. We take off that ER, okay? Now, once we have the ER off, we simply apply the ending to the end of the verb that goes with that pronoun, okay? So let's look at I speak first of all. We have je, and then we have the verb parler. We take off the ER, that leaves us with PARL. Now, the ending I gave you for je is E, so we're going to put that E at the end of parle. All right? So that's how we do ER verbs. So we get je parle. Now, for the tu form, we're going to put an ES. So we take off the ER and we put an ES. And we get tu parles.
University of Edinburgh, University of Warwick, University of Bristol và Durham University cùng hàng loạt cái tên lớn khác thuộc Russell Group và Top Uni UK đều
Now, the same down at the bottom left, we're going to do the same thing for the je form. we're going to put an E on it. Now that verb goes with all three of those pronouns. So we have il parle, elle parle, and on parle. All right, now let's go to the top right up there. Nous Parlons. We take off the ER. Nous parlons. We take off the ER and put ONS. Nous parlons. Now we could also say parlons, just by itself as a command, like let's talk, let's speak. As a command, just by itself. Nous parlons. Now we could also say parlons, just by itself as a command, like let's talk, let's speak. Now, the middle right, we're going to put the ending EZ on it. We're going to say vous parlez. Vous parlez. The bottom right, we're going to put the ENT, so we get il parle and elle parle. Now, let's try one more. Manger. Let's go back to that verb, manger. Parle. Now, let's try one more. Manger. Let's go back to that verb, manger. All right, so we're going to take off the ER. That leaves us with MAN. G, and we put the ending E on it. So I eat is je mange, je mange. You eat, tu manges. The ES on there ending. Now, he, she, and one, we're going to put that E on it again. So il mange, elle mange, and on mange. Now, for the top right, we eat. This one adds an E back into it. So we get nous mangeons, nous mangeons. So that's a little exception for that one verb there. And you eat is vous mangez, vous mangez. And then on the bottom right, we get il mange and elle mange. All right. Now, guys, that's how we do ER verbs. Now, I want to explain something really quick. Sometimes people say, well, you're taking off the ER, but most of these have an E in them. Wouldn't it make sense to just say, I'm not going to take off the E? Well, that really doesn't apply 100% of the time. And when you do it that way, you have to remember a different change for every single one of these. You have to remember, oh, this one I'm going to take the E off and I'm going to add this one. And this one I'm going to take the E off and add this. And every one of your changes is something different. And so therefore, I teach it's easier just to go ahead and take off the ER and put the ending on there. Because if you know the endings, It's just a matter of just switching them out in your mind. It seems to be an easier approach, but you do whatever works best for you, right? That's how we best learn, is however we best personally learn. So I encourage you to do that. Well, that's it for today's lesson. I look forward to seeing you again on
Work is a pain in the apps. My files are in this app. My chat's in this app.
On this episode, I want to teach you possessive adjectives in French. Now, think about how many times we say a possessive adjective. My something, or his something, or your something. We use these all the time. And so I'm just going to give those to you today. And to start out, we're going to put our chart up. I want to put the various forms of each one in the different spaces of the chart, okay? Now, I first want to just tell you that I'm going to be using some family words today that help us define how these possessive adjectives are used. But don't worry, next episode, we're going to be getting those family words. So we'll be filling in the rest of those. All right. But I think you're not going to have any problem today understanding the family words I'm going to use just to demonstrate possessive adjectives. Okay. So on the top left, my something is going to be mon, ma, and me. Now, if the object you're talking about, saying my something, if it's a masculine object, you have to say mon, mon. If that object is feminine, you have to say ma. And if the object is plural, we're going to say me. Okay, so those are the three my forms. So we have mon, ma, me. The next one in the middle left, same thing, but we're going to change it to a T. So we have ton, ta, and te. Ton, ta, te. All right? So you're something. Speaking to someone informally that I know well. Next one, down the bottom left, we're going to put this one. Son, sa, c'est. Son, sa, c'est. Okay, now son would be his something that's masculine, or her something that's masculine, or one's something that's masculine. Okay, now just keep in mind that when we use son or sa, the difference is the object you're talking about is not who it belongs to. A lot of times people get confused when they're learning this and they say, oh, well, a girl owns that, so it would be sa. But that's not how it works. I could say his something, but if that something is feminine, would have to be sa. So it doesn't matter who owns it, it's the object that belongs to them that determines whether it's masculine or plural. Make sense? I hope so. Okay, so we have son, sa, and c'est. Now over the top right, we have notre. That's our something, our house, our car. And yes, we don't have a difference in gender, we just have notre. Now, the plural, though, of notre is nos. Nos. So if I were going to say our houses, nos maisons. Okay? Now, the vous form is going to be the same, votre and vos. Votre, vos. And at the bottom right, we're going to put leur, leur. And of course, if it is plural, we're going to add an S to that, leur. All right? Now, let's look at these in context. Now, I want to use the word c'est, which means that is or those are. Okay, so let's just look at these in context really quick. That is my uncle. C'est mon oncle. C'est mon oncle.
Croissant.
That's my sister. C'est ma sœur. C'est ma sœur. Those are my C'est ma sœur. C'est ma sœur. Those are my aunts. Those are my aunts. Ce sont mes tantes. Ce sont mes tantes. That's your father? Is that your father? C'est ton père? C'est ton père? Is that your sister? C'est ta sœur? C'est ta sœur? Is that your sister? C'est ta sœur? C'est ta sœur? Are those your sisters?
Who here speaks English?
Is that your sister? Your sisters? Ce sont tes sœurs? Ce sont tes sœurs? All right, that is our uncle. C'est notre oncle. Those are our aunts. Ce sont nos tantes. All right, that is our uncle. C'est notre oncle. Those are our aunts. Ce sont nos tantes. Ce sont nos tantes. All right, let's do one more example here. That is their brother. C'est leur frère. C'est leur. That is nos tantes. Ce sont nos tantes. Ce sont nos. Tantes. All right, let's do one more example here. That is their brother. C'est leur frère. C'est leur frère. That is their brother. C'est leur. Leur frère. Simple here. That is their brother. C'est leur frère. C'est leur frère. Okay, guys. Well, that is how we use possessive adjectives. Practice those and that's exactly what we're going to do. So you might want to get your cahier and your stylo. The family is La famille. La famille. Okay, now myself is moi. Moi. I know you've heard that before. My father is mon père. Mon père. My mother is ma mère. Ma mère. My sister, ma sœur.
Sœur.
Ma sœur. My brother, mon frère. Mon frère. My uncle is mon oncle. Mon oncle. My aunt is ma tante. Ma tante. My cousin, who is a boy, mon cousin. My cousin, who is a boy, mon cousin. Mon cousin. My cousin, who is a girl, ma cousine. Ma cousine. My grandfather, mon grand-père. Mon grand-père. My grandmother, ma grand-mère. Père. Mon grand-père. Mon grand-père. My grandmother, ma grand-mère, ma grand-mère. And let's get son and daughter. Son is fils. Fils. And daughter, fille. Fille. Now let's do niece and nephew. The nephew is le neveu. Le neveu. The niece is la nièce. Le neveu. The niece is la nièce. La nièce. Now, the nieces and nephews together, we're going to use the masculine form for the plural, even if we're talking about nieces and nephews together. So that would be les neveux. les neveux. Now, I just want to point out really quick here that when a word in French ends with AU or EU, in order to make that plural, we put an X. And so that's why that X is there, les neveux. All right? Now, just the baby in general is l'enfant. L'enfant. Okay, now I want to show you some sentences that just sort of put this into context. So first of all, c'est ma sœur. C'est ma sœur. That is my sister.